Welcome to I'm Zephyr's review of Mass Destruction.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Critical Review. Now today on the chopping block is Mass Destruction. Mass Destruction was provided me free by the developers over at Shotguns with Glitter, and this game is really interesting, and it's something that I really would recommend, but there are a few caveats that I'll get into later. But as always, I just want to introduce you guys to the game. So, Mass Destruction is a roguelike, isometric, twin-stick shooter, in the vein of something along the lines of Binding of Isaac, where you go through different floors and different levels to achieve a goal. The difference is, where Binding of Isaac, you have more life, you have more movement, you have more range and splash and skills that don't hurt you indirectly. Mass Destruction is more of a Dark Souls-like take. This game has much more to throw at you, and you are much weaker. Now, weapons that the enemy carry will inflict more damage to you. You can take upwards of 5 damage per hit, depending on the enemy weapons. That is something that you have to be aware of while you play Mass Destruction. This game is not for the faint of heart. But like any other roguelike, the more you play, the more passive and the more skills you gain as you play. And in this game, you obtain things called cartridges from the shops, and these cartridges are your active and passive skills that you can attach to your mech before starting your runs. Now, upon reaching out to the developers of Mass Destruction, we did find out some information for you guys. One of which is that Mass Destruction is going to be available on mobile. Mass Destruction is supposed to be coming out for mobile. They only declared this on July 1st. It is July 2nd upon recording this, so this information is very new, so please give them time before looking for it. Along with that information, we also have information that Mass Destruction is working on a co-op mode. Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like the co-op mode should have been released with the game. It's such a fundamental thing for games to have these days. Local and online co-op, or at least have the local and then add LAN co-op for the future, but it does not at the moment. It is a single player game only as of recording this video, which is something that I feel like they could have done before. But when I look at the size of their team and how many people are working on this project, it is not that many. So I understand that maybe they just wanted to get the game out and people playing it and people excited for it beforehand. So as I said, this game is available on PC. You can go over to Steam, and you can also look at the link below in the description to get Mass Destruction for yourself. It is $14.99, which I think is a pretty heavy price for this game. I don't think this is something that's too terribly in depth, but for their market, I would think that maybe $10 or $5 is more realistic. And I also think that they should look at the people who bought Mass Destruction and provide them the mobile game for free for paying such a price. But one of the things that makes Mass Destruction stand out from the rest is Mass Destruction is a very light game. You can run this on just about anything. I've run it on a really old laptop, a regular laptop, a gaming laptop, my computer. I ran it on a Windows tablet mod, which was super interesting because I had to pair the controller up to play it. Very good. And it all ran perfectly fine. The tablet running at roughly 42 frames per second, which is very difficult to explain how a tablet runs with an ARM processor and everything. So there is a proclamation of story to this game, and I'm just going to go ahead and read off this little snippet for you that was provided to me by the IndieDB. The Masaurian Empire is dying, a once flourishing civilization, spending their ever-joyful lives in perfect photosynthesis, has now been purged to the brink. Sorry, I have bad handwriting. So, we are presented some form of storytelling here. But one of the problems that I found with this game is that there really isn't anything adding to it. Now, that may be because I didn't make it extremely far, but upon further research, other people have said that the story just isn't strong. That's okay with roguelikes. You don't really need an end game scenario, but it should exist in some fashion. So in my personal opinion, an update to the game where we can see more of the story and what's going on with these unique characters, which the characters are unique, but they're also kind of sadly forgettable. One of the things that make the characters forgettable is their lack of depth. Now, Binding of Isaac has the same problem, but the amount of mods that you receive and how things get clipped onto your character makes the character rememberable. Also, the emotion laden in the game makes it rememberable. So I feel like this game could use some stronger narrative to give it life. Why are we fighting these aliens? What are these aliens? What is their purpose? Why are they here? What do they want? Why am I in a mech? How did the mech get produced? These are things that could be answered by developing a narrative for when you pick up an item. A character can come up on screen and kind of just dialogue it to you, similar to something along the lines of Metal Gear Solid, where you get an item and there's a short tutorial on how to use it that's brought to you over the radio. Something along those lines could be done. The game does pause and present you with information when you pick up the alien artifacts, which we will get into, as well as the weapons and the 4 ammo types. So my recommendation to the team over at Shotguns with Glitter is develop a universe, start writing characters and concepts of like maybe just a simple engineering character, your hero, give him some sort of line to speak when he defeats a higher end enemy, so we get that kind of feedback of what is and what isn't a bigger threat. Who should we be focusing on? Now, you could also take the sub-route of copying Borderlands and having the badass enemies, which is a good concept to have in your game, where you enter a, say, rank 3 or level 3, and you progress, and there's a character that's a different color and starts attacking you, and maybe it's harder to defeat. That is something that I would definitely consider when you guys are progressing with your updates, but hopefully that doesn't break the game. Now, coming back to the artwork, I'd like to state that although this game is in an isometric view and it's considered pretty low poly and pretty simple to play, the artwork is actually really substantial. It's beautiful to look at, the effects are well produced, and everything seems to be pretty unique. I like how they're going back with this retro style gameplay, and they're not afraid to divulge exactly what they're doing. This style and this gameplay and everything that they're doing has a very retro feel to it, and as they're entering a pretty difficult genre of gaming to compete with these bigger titles like Binding of Isaac, I think this one has a pretty good head on its shoulders. I don't think everything was done to what I would consider quality standards at this point, but as an indie team and an indie development, this game definitely shines in that aspect as an indie game. This team really has put a lot of heart and soul into this game, and they're clearly taking a lot of the feedback seriously, and I hope to see them implement more characters into the game and more enemy types, because it can get rather mundane running into the same 3 robots and the same 3 aliens throughout the beginning of the quest. And like I said, without having any in-depth character analysis, there's really nothing I could say to that regard. Now, obviously we have a silent protagonist throughout the game. There's really no storytelling being made, but it feels like there should be in between levels, and when you go to a rank up screen, it just feels like somebody should be talking to you, maybe making recommendations or something along those lines, but that just does not happen. Another thing that I would like to see with the artistic direction that they have is something along the lines of the Risk of Rain series. In Risk of Rain, when you pick up different loot items, they are put onto your character in some fashion. This is beyond just picking up different weapons. I would like to see the bandana actually be on my back when I get the bandana power up. I would like to see like the feathers get attached to my boots when I go fast, and just different references. Now, I understand that is copying another genre, but you could twist it in your own way, and it would really give life to the character and show how goofy he could be, even though this game is considered tough as nails. This game has 3 biomes that you can go and fight across, as well as 3 different characters that you can fight with. To get the characters, you just simply have to play the game, get the in-game currency, which is the green crystals, and purchase them from the shop. I personally did not do this as I did not collect enough green crystals in my playthrough. So maybe increasing the drop rate of these crystals to make the game more accessible is a good idea for the developers in a later update. From what I understand, this game only has one current boss, which is a giant ship. I did not make it that far in this game. As I've already stated, this game is tough as nails. My progress really never made it past rank 3, level 3. That's usually where I would get to the sundown and I would ultimately die, and I would have to start from the beginning. And I would just keep throwing myself at this over and over and over until I got further, and I usually just didn't. And it's probably mainly because this is not my personal forte in gaming, so consider that as you're watching the rest of the. So when it comes to the gameplay of Moss Destruction, it is extremely well developed. It's very snappy, it's very sniper-esque, where you need to maintain your target very well and know where your mouse cursor is or your joystick is pointing as you're shooting. You need to know where you're running and avoiding the obstacles that are in the arenas that you're fighting in. So like acid traps and explosives can't hurt you. Knowing the radius of your explosives and making sure you're not within them is extremely important. As you progress through the game, you can see other references to other games, which is one of the things that I really enjoyed. They do have a key card system throughout the game, so even though you're rushing to get to the next teleporter to get out of that area, or you want to fight near the teleporter so that way you can get your rank up, you do need to find the key cards along the way, which reminded me of Doom in many ways, where you could be on low in health and be rushing through all these enemies to get to the door to hopefully make your way out of the area, but ultimately you may or may not make it. This gives the game a sense of anticipation as well as nervousness. It really gives you a sense of satisfaction when you get to the next level, just to do it all over again. If you're like me and you don't mind throwing your head up against that wall constantly, this is one of those games that I highly recommend you pick up. It's something different. It's something that you can throw your head up against, like Binding of Isaac, but this game just is more difficult. And in many ways, it could be considered a trainer for other games. Playing Moss Destruction and becoming extremely good at and proficient at Moss Destruction could really help you in other isometric twin stick shooters, as its difficulty curve is much higher. So real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to Shotguns with Glitter for providing not only me with the key, but also providing you guys with the demo. If you'd like to try Moss Destruction today, you can go ahead and look in the description below, where you can find a itch.io link, which will bring you directly over to their very own Moss Destruction itch.io page, and you can play it for yourself today. It is available on Mac and it is also available on PC. And also note, this game will run on just about anything, so I implore you to just give it a shot. These devs definitely deserve some love. Their craftsmanship into their game is extremely detailed, and they've paid attention to just about everything that people are asking them to do. And in the long term, they are implementing a server system, which is very expensive to do, unless they're doing a P2P, which is completely irrelevant conversation point. But yeah, go check out their demo, and if you like the game, don't be afraid to pick it up for yourself. Again, it is $15, which I do think is a little expensive for a game that just feels slightly underdeveloped. This game is self-programmed tough as nails, so you shouldn't have a difficulty being able to play it for several hours on end. And yeah, that's my review. Will I be playing this game more frequently in the future? I probably will, especially when the co-op comes out, as well as the mobile. If the mobile works with the PC and has cross-platform, well, I don't know if that's even a thing, but if it is, it's definitely something that I'll be playing here with my friends as well as my family. It's a game that really could utilize more people and be a good party game along the lines of Castle Crashers. It really has a lot of opportunity to expand itself. They'll have to add more characters, as well as not only have 2-player maps, but maybe 4-player maps where you're working collaboratively, where the alien artifacts that you pick up and activate on the other person's side of the map or something along those lines. The maps don't connect, you just work with your team and you have to open certain gates on both sides. There are a lot of things that these developers could consider going forward with their development. So I say Shotguns with Glitter. If you're happy with this review, please stay in contact with me. I have several pages here of recommendations for future with this game, and I think you guys have a lot of opportunity to make a very, very, very successful game. So with that, guys, that is my critical review of Moss Destruction. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit this like button if you liked it, and share it with your friends, because this is a small indie game and they deserve a little bit more attention. And if you've enjoyed my content from this point forward, if you've enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and come back and see what else is going on in the future. So with that, goodbye, everybody.
Kozonom, en naganelvers to majar takeout. Josant Banajov Tervers. Or, thank you, I really enjoyed your game. Good luck in your future projects. Well then, you made it to the end. Thank you for watching. Please check the description on information on where to find me. Also, Shotgun with Glitter, please contact me again if you would like me to review the party. It looks very good. Oof gamers, I love indie. I'm not sure if that Hungarian is accurate. I am but a robot.